Hey guys, it is Callus, and apparently I'm here with an SPL game. If you guys are surprised to see this, that makes two of us. I was told literally with less than 5 minutes notice that I got subbed in and that I need to play. I had no idea that I was going to be subbed in. I didn't really get to prep at all, certainly not for a specific opponent. And I didn't really even have time to sit and grab a snack and chill. I was literally told, "You're subbed in. He needs to play now, or we're going to get the activity loss. Go, go, go." So, yeah, apparently I am playing my first and potentially only SPL match of the season. And it's going to be against my buddy Marco, who everybody knows Marco. He's been on the channel a million times. He's been in CALLOUS Invitational. He's been in a couple of my Pokemon talks. I don't need to introduce Marco. He and I get along great, and it's cool to play against him in SPL. I wish I had a little bit more heads up, but it's going to be what it's going to be, and I'm going to make the best of it. So, like I said, because I did not really have time to prep against a specific opponent or do homework or any of that, more or less I just loaded up a ladder team or a team that I have been playing on ladder and that I'm comfortable with and that I think is good, and hopefully it'll get the job done here. But like I said, this is my first and I mean, who knows, possibly only chance to play this SPL, so let's try to make the most of it. Here is my SPL match against Marco P. Alright, so obviously I'm Callus X. We don't use alts, or I don't use alts anyway when I'm playing in a serious match like this, so here I am. He's Marco P, 9923. We have a T-Tower on T-Tower lead. So, there's going to be, I'm going to link the team that I used in the description, by the way, so you guys can kind of follow along and see what I see and figure out what you would do in my shoes and all that good stuff. So, T-Tower on T-Tower lead, typically the standard play here, if you both have it, is to switch to Skarmory. It's just really, really safe. Whether they Earthquake you, whether they HP Grass you, whether they switch to their bulky water, a lot of the logical things that they would do involve going to Skarm. I don't have Skarm here, so I have to stay in. So the whole point of my line here is I attack the T-Tar, I see where it's at, first of all, and then based on that, especially if I'm faster, which I very well may be because I'm a DD-Tar, if I'm faster, I'll have the threatened 2-hit KO on the opposing Tar, and then that's going to basically prompt them after we exchange blows to switch to either a Skarm, which I think he would have done initially if he had it, or a bulky water, which allows me to go to Cloyster. So this turn 1 is actually a setup of future turns. So I'm faster, I go Earthquake. That rules out a Choice Bander for him. He Earthquakes me for less. We'll both gain left, or he's going to gain lefties. I have Lum. And then this sets up the play that I was talking about. So clearly he can't stay in. There's zero chance, even with a garbage roll on my part, that I don't kill him with another Earthquake. And it's so early on. I mean, what's he going to do? He's going to play around me switching it up and going for Rock Slide here or whatever. Obviously, he's going to play around me just clicking Earthquake and killing him again. So like I said, if he had Skarm, I think he would have already done that right on turn 1. So the most logical thing in my mind to come in is probably a bulky water. Yes, he could predict the Earthquake and go to something like a Zapdos or a Moltres here or whatever, but that is begging to get hit with Rock Slide or Ice Beam or Toxic or whatever move I may make on the prediction. So I think the most likely thing for him is to go to a water, and as such I go to Cloyster because it's really, really safe. Coon is probably the worst of the three, but it's not the worst thing ever. I could just spike up once and get out of the way, or maybe spike up once and boom. But against like a Pert or a Milo, it's great because I'm going to get to spike up probably multiple times and there's nothing that he can do. So that's why I made this switch, and it works out exactly the way that I want it to. So he goes to Milo. This is a straightforward turn. Nothing he can do that I care about. Toxic is like the worst case scenario. Who cares? I'm just going to spike up. He goes to Magneton, which is great because most of the time, not always, most of the time, Magneton teams have a really hard time dealing with Cloyster. A lot of the time, Mag is not actually paired with a spinner. The exception being the very popular archetype Mag Doll, But that doesn't appear to be the case. I mean, it could be a weird Magdoll for Marco. Most of the time, Magdoll is sandless and has like either a Lax or a Coon or both and tries to set up one of those as the primary win con. It is definitely possible that it's something for Marco, like, say, last three could be Claydol, Blissey, Dugtrio, or Claydol, Blissey, Gengar, or something along those lines. Claydol, Blissey, Aerodactyl, something like that. And I mean, that is what it is. It's not really something you can play around, but the fact that the Magneton cannot trap the Cloyster is probably a good thing, and that's going to enable me to get some plays off throughout the game. It makes me feel like I can put down and maintain at least the one layer of spikes. And if it is just some weird, like, physical team, like, let's say his last three are just three physical mons. It's Mence, it's Lax, it's Metagross, whatever. It's just a physical spam team with a Milo for Marco. That's great, because every spike I get down is going to stay down. So I feel pretty reasonable about the matchup based on just these early turns. That being said, obviously I can't stay in here, so Cloyster is going to get out of the way, and we'll see what Magneton does. So the de facto special wall on this team is Jirachi. Really good turn 4 here. He goes for a Toxic. I'm not sure what he was thinking would come in. Maybe he was playing around like a Celebi or a Bliss and trying to connect with one of those. Had I gone to Lax here, that also would have not been hit by the Toxic. I don't know that I love the Toxic here. I don't even know that I like staying in with Mag. Had I just gone straight Dugtrio here, he would have gotten rocked. I don't know. Toxic there, I think, is underwhelming. There's a lot of things like this, or like Lax, where it just would be who cares, or Dugtrio, it would be who cares. I don't know. I was happy with that turn. That didn't seem to do a whole heck of a lot. So now it falls to me as to what I want to do. And it did cross my mind for sure to go back to Cloyster here, and that is a play that I would definitely have in mind for the future of this match, but I mean, it's too early on, I think, for me to feel comfortable. He could totally just stay in and go Thunder Wave or something like that, which I wouldn't be thrilled about, or he could stay in and go for Thunderbolt or HP Fire just to kind of see what I do, which again, going to Cloyster's not great on that. So maybe I'll do that later, but like once I show him that I have Fire Punch and that Magneton does not want to stay in on this matchup, maybe that'll set me up later to be able to switch the Cloyster into the Mag in situations where I know that the Magneton is not going to stick around. So he doesn't, and I go for Fire Punch here on Registeel. So at this point, I feel like I recognize the team. This looks a lot like a team that CZ, a British player who I think is dead. I mean, I hope he comes back to Pokemon. I always liked him. We always got along. But I haven't seen him in a good while. But anyway, CZ, a pretty good British player, has a team that he popularized that is very similar to this. So it would have a Cacturn on it, which would be pretty ironic, I think, since that's kind of my Mon. That's kind of a Mon that I popularized way back in like 2012. A lot of people associate me, or at least my older fans associate me with my love of that Pokemon. And then I forget what the last Mon is. I could look it up if it really mattered. It might be a Claydol or something like that. But basically, it's a full-on stall team with Cacturn. And it certainly looks like that kind of team right now. It's either a Donphan or a Claydol is the last poke. I don't remember. But it's a pure TSS kind of team. So now I have to figure out what to do against Registeel. I don't think I care. It cannot one-hit KO me with anything, barring a crit. Earthquake would be not as good as you think, given how softly Registeel hits and how sturdy Jirachi is. A Boom, I don't really care about. It would just bounce right off. He would need a Dugtrio follow-up. That's another potential last poke. Could be Cacturn Doug. I just don't feel very threatened here. At the same time, I mean, do I really want to eat a Thunder Wave? No. Is it the end of the world if he Thunder Waves me? No. I can fish for burn here with Fire Punch. Not that my Fire Punches are doing a lot either, since I have no special attack investment, and since Registeel is just so specially bulky. But I'm really in zero danger here. I think the worst thing, the actual worst thing the Registeel can do here is probably just Thunder Wave, and it's just not that big of a deal. I guess the other thing he could do, if he has Boom, he could blow up and follow up with Dugtrio, which I would not like, because I value this Jirachi. But I'm not so scared of that one singular possibility on this turn to make me switch out. Or I guess I was that afraid of it. I don't know. Maybe I was playing around Thunder Wave there. I think maybe that's why I went to the Swampert there. Yeah, I think I was playing around Thunder Wave. And also, again, just the same logic here of what can Registeel really do? The worst thing he could do to Swampert there is probably just Boom, which wouldn't even kill him. He would need a Dugtrio follow-up. And anything else, he's not going to Toxic into the Jirachi. I don't care about Thunder Wave. I don't care about Seismic Toss. All these other things don't really matter. Earthquake, Superpower, Swampert there is very, very safe. So we go back to Jirachi now to scout for Toxic, which does not come. We end up with Milotic here. So this is basically a free turn. I have nothing to fear from the Milo. It probably, if it is the standard Milotic set of Surf, Toxic, Refresh, Recover, Jirachi just blanks it forever. I'm Toxic immune. The Surf does paltry damage against a very specially defensive Jirachi. I'm just safe as hell. So I viewed this as a free wish turn. The only thing that really needs it right now, and needs is loose, but T-Tar would appreciate it. Swampert's fine. 77's okay. Everybody else is healthy. Haven't even revealed 2 pokes. Maybe I should have gone for the free Fire Punch there, but I thought the wish was basically free. So we're just going to take that opportunity. The question becomes, do I feel safe going to Tyranitar? And I decide no. I decide I'm going to play around the status move just to scout out what it is, and we find out here, okay, it's Toxic. So he probably doesn't have Thunder Wave. We've seen Seismic Toss, Toxic. It literally could just be like Rest, Boom as the last 2 moves or something like that, or one or the other, because Rest and Boom are weird. So it also could just be Boom Earthquake, Boom Counter, something along those lines. I definitely have to play with Explosion in mind, and we also don't know if he has a Dugtrio, because that is definitely a Pokemon that he could have in the back. It could, I mean, I could just be wrong about Cacturne. It could be like Claydol Doug or something, but that team, I really think it's Cacturne. It's like the only thing that goes with Registeel, and he needs to have a Spiker somewhere, right? Otherwise, his team is just way, way, way to do nothing. I mean, I guess it could just be a traditional Skarm, but just like the Registeel is the big tip-off. If I had only seen T-Tar, Milo, Magneton, totally different story. Probably a Skarm or something like that in the back. That makes sense to me. But the Registeel really makes me think there's a Cacturne, so I'm playing this whole game trying to deduce what the last couple of things are going to be for him. I did miss an opportunity there, purposely, to pass the wish to T-Tar. What would have happened there is he hits me with Toxic. If it doesn't miss, obviously, it did hit in this instance. Lum Berry would go away, so basically I'd be trading Lum Berry in exchange for the wish to bring the T-Tar back up to a hundo. I don't know if that's the worst thing in the world, but I also think if I want to do that, I'll have opportunities to do so later. The reason that I stayed in this instance is to scout out what the status move is going to be, whether it's Toxic or whether it's Thunder Wave. Now I know, and I can play accordingly. So here's another wish to potentially enable the same play. As it turns out, he's double status, so he's Thunder Wave and Toxic, and we've seen Seismic Toss, so the only last move that makes sense in my mind is Boom. So I need to play accordingly. That being said, I now have this wish pending. I can go to the T-Tar, and the result either way, whether it's Toxic, whether it's Thunder Wave, and as it turns out he is both, is the same. He'll trade one of the status moves for the recovery on T-Tar, and at this point, I think that's fine. And if he goes Seismic Toss, that's even better. So here's T-Tar. He goes Toxic on the switch. Lum Berry gets eaten. Probably tips him off because basically only DD-Tar has Lum. So now he probably knows, and I get out of the way. We once again find ourselves with Jirachi on Milotic. My whole team, other than Pert, is at a hundo. Pert's relatively healthy. I feel fine about where we are right now. Cloyster comes in case Milo stays in. Don't know that I love that recover. I mean, recover off what? Body slam damage that I may have done there. It feels like who cares. Basically, this gives me free spikes that he didn't need to give me, so I don't know that I love the recover from him there. But yeah, I mean, we could do this trade all day. I'll spike up, he'll surf for a quarter. No problem. I am going to spike up again. Totally fine with going down this road. And his best switch to Cloyster is Magneton. That seems fine. I'm very, very happy. I would pause at this point and just say that I really like my position as a whole. Turn 15, I've established 3 layers of spikes. I feel like the Jirachi is really defensively difficult and annoying for him. It walls Milo, it walls the Reggie. It should beat Magneton pending some serious para BS. So yeah, I mean, I'm pretty happy with my position. I've got 3 layers of spikes. He's got none. The Jirachi seems like a tough poke for him to deal with. Everybody on my team is healthy. His Cheetar is already down to 48%. Yeah, overall, I mean, let's not get ahead of ourselves. I haven't won the game or anything, but I really feel good if I could just like go back in time into this exact position. I feel great about where I am. So once again, we're not going to stay in, and Jirachi should be good enough against the Magneton to the point where even though I am paralyzed, I feel totally comfortable switching into the Thunderbolt, and he's going to take advantage of it. I'm trapped via Magnet Pull, so if this goes badly, I can't leave, and he's going to push the issue. He Thunderbolts again. He's looking for crits or paras or things like that. And Jirachi does get its wish off. I'm fully paralyzed here, but it doesn't matter. He switches into T-Tar. I eat my own wish, and Rachi back up to a hundo as his T-Tar gets lower. Now here, I played around the Earthquake by going to Salamence. Crunch is not the worst thing ever, but it's not ideal. I played around the Earthquake, and I also played around HP Grass on the Swampert. So I thought that this was really, really safe. I thought the odds of him rock sliding there were really low, given what I had shown. Because remember, he didn't know about the Ments, right? So, like, I had shown T-Tar, Rock Resist Swampert, Rock Resist Rachi, and obviously I'm not going to go to Cloyster there. So just, like, based on what I've shown, there is very, very little incentive for him to rock slide there. And same deal. I mean, if he Ice Beams into Rachi, Swampert, Tar, dude, good for you, good play. But it just seems really unlikely that he does that there. So I felt really good about this. Crunch was not what I wanted to see. It did quite a bit of damage there at 54%. It's not the worst thing in the world. This is a mixed Mence, and it's still very dangerous. As long as it's alive at any HP percentage, out of sand range, obviously, then it's a threat. But Crunch was not what I was hoping for there. I thought that Earthquake or a surprise HP Grass on Swampert, both of which the Salamence obviously would have taken a little better, were more likely. But he makes a nice play on the Crunch, which, I mean, would have done an okay chunk on the Pert. But yeah, it does 54 to Salamence. That was not the best turn, but it's not the end of the world, and I can at least scare him off here. So we're going to go for the neutral option. Dragon Claw is going to be fine against basically anything. The one bad thing about that particular play is that it tips him off that I'm a mixed Mence, because it's the only set, I guess, other than Wish Mence, which isn't really a thing, that carries Dragon Claw. So now he knows, but that's okay. This matchup is not as great. My Lotic in general is just the best Salamence counter in the game, not just mixed Mence, certainly mixed Mence too, but just Salamence in general, because my Lotic covers all sets. He covers the Choice Band set, he covers the DD set, he covers... Mixed Mence is probably the set that he's best against, so this particular Mon-on-Mon matchup is not ideal for me, but overall, team versus team as opposed to Mon versus Mon, I feel like my matchup is fine, if not even a little bit good. So yeah, Dragon Claw there would have killed the Tar had it stayed in, most likely. And then it's just neutral against either of the two unrevealed. If he goes to the Mag or the Registeel, yes, it would bounce off, but they would have to step on 3 layers of spikes, and then I'm faster than either one, obviously, and then could just use a fire attack. So even though it does resist Dragon Claw, both the Registeel and the Magneton don't really have a lot of purpose on that turn. And it's just short-term thinking, because they're taking free damage, and then when I just click my fire attack now, what do you do? So that doesn't actually get you out of it. So I thought that Dragon Claw and my Lotic were both the correct play here. And yeah, I mean, now I just have the option of, do I want to fish for an HP Grass crit or not? It's a trade-off of, obviously he's going to recover. How much worse off am I if I HP Grass, don't get the crit, and he recovers, versus if I take this opportunity to switch? I don't feel like I have a fantastic switch here. I don't think that Milo is a bad Pokemon for this team, per se, but it's probably one of the pokes that I don't overly want to see. Between the DD-Tar, the Spikes Pressure, the Boom, and the last poke Arrow, I feel like a lot of the time I have enough pressure to squeak through a Milo, but it's definitely an annoying poke. Of the waters, it's the one that this team least wants to see. So we'll see if I can get through this guy. But because I know that this team is not thrilled about Milo, I'm going to start making some more aggressive plays probably, and trying to keep the pressure on that guy. but I go to Jirachi here. It's going to give me a free opportunity to try to body slam something, fire punch something. I go for the Wish here, hoping maybe I could pass that to the Mence. And here is the Prickler, which, like I said, I find terribly ironic. Not in a bad way. I smiled the second that he did this. I'm not offended at all. I just it's almost like Marco giving me props, or maybe that's just my ego talking. But I mean, Cacturn's kind of my poke that I've been hyping and talking about for years. I'm the guy who introduced that poke to the competitive scene back in like 2012. A lot of people associate me with that poke. So I think it's really, really cool that of all things that could be brought against me, Marco opts to bring Cacturn. I think that's chill as hell. So there he is, the Prickler. It's just a matter of what kind of set does he have. Now, if this is the CZ team, or something very close to the CZ team, then Cacturn is the Spiker, which, that makes sense to me, right? Because, I mean, he needs spikes somewhere. He just has to, or his team's way, way, way too nothing, to do nothing. So it has to have spikes. Almost every Cacturn ever has Leech Seed. So, I mean, just the obvious set is sub, Leech Seed, spikes, and some kind of attack. The default attack on Cacturn is usually just HP Dark because he gets stab on it, and Cacturn actually has a pretty damn high special attack stat naturally, and also Dark hits just a lot of things neutrally. You can't go too far wrong, but just as an added bonus, it nails Celebi, it nails Gengar, things like that. So that's the normal set. But Cacturn is actually very, very versatile. It learns moves like Destiny Bond, Focus Punch. It can, of course, get Hidden Power Ice. It learns Thunder Punch, all sorts of shenanigans. So the normal set is what I said. Spike, Sub, Leech Seed, HP Dark. But Cacturn's one of those Pokemon we have to be really careful about surprise moves. Alright, so he's just going to sub up. I'm going to stay in because it's tough for him to punch through me here. I could have passed the Wish to the Salamence, but not only would I die to HP Dark, but it also, I don't know that Salamence actually beats the Cacturn. It can or it cannot based on some of the BS rolls with good old Sandvale. 2 pairs in a row are obnoxious, and that basically resigns me to staying in and doing this here. And as you're going to see, I'm going to be in here for a hefty while. Basically, we're going to go back and forth here, and I'm going to try to run him out of subs very slowly. This is obnoxious. I don't have a good switch. And yeah, we're just going to play the whole Sandvale game. He's going to sub Leech Seed lock me at some point. He did miss his first attempt at Leech Seed, but then he hits it. There's Fire Punch, and this is something that could go on for a hefty minute, but he's going to keep subbing on switches. I don't have a fantastic switch. If I had something that were safe against Cacturn and had Roar, that would be splendid. But this team, being fairly offensive and having a lot of pressure, does not have a phaser. And take this as an example, kids, as to why phasers are important. Why do people run phasers in ADV? This is a fantastic example, because if I had a nice safe Pokemon, like say the Swampert, a bulky Pert with Roar, or a Coon with Roar, or whatever, this would be, on one of the substitute turns, a phenomenal time to get in a Roar poke, get rid of the Cacturn, get rid of its substitute, and insult to injury, drop some spikes damage on somebody. But alas, we don't have that. So we are just doing this for a while. Like I said, I don't have a good switch, so I mean, while this is not ideal, mathematically I should be fine here. The Cacturn has not actually shown an attack yet, which makes me feel relatively confident, but if it is just HP Dark in the back, then mathematically I should be good. And if it's something even worse than that, if he has random HP Ice or Thunder Punch or whatever, then the Cacturn has virtually zero chance to kill me. So I'm fine with that as well. Basically, we're sitting in, again, because I don't have a good switch is reason one, and because mathematically I should win out in this situation and run him out of subs before he's able to kill me. That is what should happen. And once Cacturn does not have substitute anymore, PP for substitute that is, he becomes way, way, way easier to kill. Whether it's my Salamence, whether it's my unrevealed Aerodactyl in the back, Cacturn, when he can't protect himself with sub, is no longer anywhere near as annoying or anywhere near as threatening. So yeah, I mean, there's just a ton of RNG here. There is the Hidden Power Dark, which as you see, it hits the Jirachi neutrally, but it's only doing 22%, which is just, it's such a low amount. Now granted, he does have Leech Seed, he can crit me, blah blah blah, but mathematically I should win out here. So we'll do a quick count here. He's got 8 substitutes, I have 9 wishes left. And at this point, for lack of anything better to do, right, he's already seeded me, he's already behind a sub, he's already got 3 layers of spikes down. At this point, for lack of anything better to do, he's just gonna get at me with hidden power. Had a couple of para turns here, which are a little bit obnoxious. Jirachi dipping low here. I actually need to get Protect off in order to not just die. And there it is, there's Protect, but we're going to need a couple more of these. The paras can come at a pretty bad time. 62 sounds great, right? But after Leech Seed, it's 49. He's hitting me for 22 a whack. So, I mean, there's some things that can go wrong here. Like that. That's a real bad para turn. So, yeah, I mean, after a while, paras do kick in at a bad time. That was a really bad turn there. The fact that that knocked out Jirachi is really, really poor and really, really important. This is, in my opinion, the most important turn of the battle. So on that turn, I knew that I was going to die one way or another because even if I had gotten Wish off, Hidden Power plus Leech Seed would have killed me. So on that turn, I went for Fire Punch to pop the sub. And I got a really unlucky and relevant roll on that. So like if we look back at the Hidden Powers, they have been doing between 20 and 23% the whole time. A lot of them have done 22, one of them did 20, there's a 21 in there, but basically there's only been 2 23% rolls the whole time. I don't know exactly what the roll is because it depends on what his spread is. Presumably he has little or zero special attack investment, but 20 and 23% is the norm. So if I had it done 20, 21, 22, any of those, I would have survived. Now, granted, even if I had survived, I could have gotten fully paralyzed, or I could have attacked the sub and missed thanks to Sandveil. So I don't know what the overall odds are. If somebody wants to calculate that turn 43 in the comments, I would love to know the exact odds, all things considered, when you factor in the damage roll, the paralysis, and the Sandveil chance. But basically, it would have made a world of difference in a positive way for me if I had gotten that last attack off and popped the sub, because then I could simply follow up with Salamence or Aerodactyl against a subless Cacturn and get this thing the F out of the way. Unfortunately, the turn did not go my way. He got a very good roll with the Hidden Power. Again, granted, it's not just the roll. Maybe I would have gotten fully paralyzed. Maybe I would have missed. There's a lot of ways that can go right or wrong, but I died, and I didn't pop the sub, and that's quite poor. So now, what do we do? So, this is maybe the one. This is probably my biggest regret of this battle. This is probably the sequence that I think I've loved the way that I've played up to this point. I think that I've played really well, but this is probably the one sequence where I think I did not play correctly, and where you guys can maybe learn from my mistakes. I went to T-Tar here, and the logic behind that was that I can drain the rest of his subs. Like my thought process here was I pop the sub, he Leech Seeds me, I now scare him and I can kill him, or I pop the sub and he subs again and that's fine. I'll just keep doing it and fishing for a miss, run him out of subs because he only has 8 of them left. But there's a lot of things that can go wrong with that. Basically, the first time that I missed trying to pop his sub, he could just sub-seed lock me basically indefinitely. I think the better play in hindsight was just to go straight to Aerodactyl here and just click probably Double Edge or HP Bug. And I think the worst case scenario there, because I would come in here, I'd pop the sub assuming that I hit, he would Leech Seed me, and then there's just no way. If I had gone for HP Bug, or, I mean, he wouldn't know that it's Bug. It could be HP Flying. It doesn't really matter. But Cacturn would die to either one, Choice Band, HP Flying, or HP Bug. So I think either way, had I gone Aerodactyl here and not missed the initial attack, he would be forced to switch out. And in hindsight, that is better. So this, I think, is a misplay on my part. This is probably the sequence in this battle that I'm least happy about. So I go DD here, which, yeah, I mean, this whole thing was a mistake. If I go to T-Tar, I should be attacking. I didn't know if I'd be faster or not. So, I mean, the Dragon Dance makes me faster, but the problem with this play is exactly the way that it plays out. This is not a good sequence for me. I absolutely screwed up. So, yeah, now I'm faster. Now I could pop his sub a million times until I miss. But the problem is he could just click sub forever and eventually drain me of the leech seeds. Now, what I could do is I could just stay in and I could run him out of subs that way in exchange for the T-Tar, which, I mean, maybe at that point, once I had already started down that road, maybe that's what I should have done. But going to T-Tar and going for that sequence was, in fact, a mistake, and the better play was to go to Aerodactyl. Oopsie daisies. Alrighty, so we go to Salamence. It's getting compounded here by bad luck. Again, head, Dragon Claw simply hit there. This would be a lot easier. I could just go to Aerodactyl. I go to Aerodactyl now, but Dragon Claw miss is really, really obnoxious. Hidden Power is going to pop the sub. He's going to go for Leech Seed, and now we're in the position that we should have been in before. The key difference being if I had just done this the first time, which I should have done, my T-Tower would be quite a bit healthier. He was at, I don't remember, 70-something, and the Salamence would still be alive, which is potentially relevant. So basically, I sacrificed HP on my T-Tower and my Salamence by not doing this. Absolutely a fuck-up, absolutely relevant. So that was bad, and if I lose, I now deserve to lose, because that was just bad. I fucked up. But obviously, I'm going to try to win. We end up in this position. I realize, based on the lefties, that my Cloyster is faster. I don't see a lot more use to this Cloyster at this point, and I do not believe that his last Pokemon is Gengar, so as such, I am willing to die for the team and go for Rapid Spin here. And that is exactly what's going to happen. We're going to get rid of the spikes, and Magneton is going to fry me like a clam. Obviously, at this point, I am pretty behind. We've got ourselves a 3-6 situation. Still haven't seen the last poke for Marco. It's not looking good. I really regret that one sequence that I just talked about, but I'm done harping on it. I think I could be in a better position, obviously, had I not done that. Hindsight 2020. What do I do now? Gotta try to claw out of it. So I go to Aerodactyl. Obviously, the threat of Earthquake is going to scare off the Magneton. He's going to protect just to confirm that I'm going for Earthquake, and I do because I'm basically obligated. And at this point, I'm going to switch out of the way because I know that he's going to switch out of the way, and I'm going to try to generate any tempo that I... Did I not switch there? I guess I didn't switch there. My turns all blur together. This game just happened a couple hours ago. It kind of blurs together. Anyhow, so I guess I'm obligated to stay in because the other Earthquake would kill the Cacturne. He goes to his last poke here. That is not the last poke that I expected. I take like uber credit for these teams. The double Sandvale thing is also all me. The whole reason this became popular is because myself and Billy Shatner, who I don't think plays anymore, but he's a ladder guy, Bill Shatner, were chatting one night, trying to come up with gimmicky stuff. We already had a Cacturne team, which he already liked to use, and we talked half-jokingly about Gligar, and then we're like, hey, you know, wait a minute, that might actually be good. So we came up with Substitute, Swords Dance, Earthquake, HP Flying, because it gets double stab, Gligar, and Billy started using it on ladder, and he made multiple 1,500 runs with this kind of team, and it ended up being pretty good. It ended up being, I mean, a gimmick, obviously, but a gimmick that was effective and had its little niche. This again, was my idea, so I take full credit, and if I'm going to lose, which I'm going to obviously try not to, I'd like to lose to the double Sandvale team. That makes me feel proud in a father passing on to son kind of way. But let's try to win for the team. That would be a little better. Because right now we're getting crushed. So we get out of the way. There's an Earthquake, and Swampert is going to come into the Gligar. I do have the Ice Beam threat, as you guys can see by the team in the description. Obligated to do that. And Marco is going to fodder off the Tyranitar. So now Cacturne is going to come in. It cannot sub up. I've got my window to kill it here. I know that it's HP Dark, which I know that I could survive, so I need to just not miss through stupid Sandvale. And in fact, we're going to kill that with Ice Beam as well. So we've caught up a little bit here. And the Gligar is actually not as bad as it could be. It's not great. My Swampert took quite a bit of chip damage on the way out. And the T-Tar certainly doesn't beat Gligar. But Aerodactyl, however, if Gligar is the HP Flying and Earthquake set, Aerodactyl handles it just fine. Earthquake doesn't touch it at all, Hidden Power is resisted by it, and I can double edge that guy into oblivion. So I actually do see a way to win here. Am I in great shape? No, but the 3 layers of spikes are really, really relevant, and Aerodactyl, I think, I mean, he can get there. Where there's an Aerodactyl, there's a way, and that's basically going to be my plan from here on out. So here comes the Aerodactyl, here comes the substitute. I need to be right about the set, by the way. If Gligar has like HP Rock instead of HP Flying, then I'm boned. But I'm not in any position to play around that at this point. And it is, in fact, HP Flying. So I see a window of opportunity here. Double Edge Pups Wasabi gets me with Flying. I know that he's not staying in here. He's clearly going to one of his Steel types. So even though I have the advantage, I need to get out of the way. Me healing Swampert would be a very, very beneficial thing for me over the course of this game. And here we are with this. He's going to go for Toxic, so I guess he doesn't have HP Grass, and that works out great. From what was a 6-3 position, we now have a 3-3 position, and maybe, just maybe, I can get there on this game. So this sequence here, Swampert's dead either way. You can see what kind of pert it is in the description. I am not going to be able to get much more use out of pert. I'm not going to be able to survive. So the sole goal here is to keep the Milo in range, because this is my only out. The T-Tar, keeping in mind, is at 51%. That's not going to beat the Milo in its current state. I don't even have leftovers. So basically my only out at this point is to keep the Milotic in range to where Aerodactyl can either crit or Rock Slide flinch the Milo to kill it. If the Aerodactyl manages to kill the Milo, I've got a real shot here. I can beat the remaining 2 pokes, the Registeel and the Gligar. So, in keeping with that goal, because he's just going to do his whole recover spam thingamabobber, I just need to do as much damage as I can on the way out. And that is why we're going to go for Focus Punch. This basically prevents him from just recover spamming until Toxic kills me. It keeps him at an HP one way or another, whether he just surfs here and kills me or whether he recovers, to where Aerodactyl can BS out. And that's the plan. That is my only out. So he's at 75%. I can either Rock Slide flinch him or Rock Slide crit him. This is an Adamant Aerodactyl, I believe. I don't remember. Check the description. But either way, I need the Aerodactyl to cooperate here with a crit or with a flinch. Rock Slide. Get him, get him, get him, get him. Wah, wah, wah. And that's going to be the ball game. I needed, like I said, the crit or the flinch there. With that damage roll, even the crit may have come up just short. I Dragon Dance here for lack of a better play. Yes, I could just Rock Slide and kill him there, but there's absolutely no out there. I needed Marco to fuck up on that last turn. The reason I went Dragon Dance is because if I just Rock Slide and kill him, he just goes to Gligar, Earthquake, and kills me. So my only out at that point was I Dragon Dance, he recovers, and then I just get there on Rock Slide flinches or crit. But yeah, Marco's not dumb. I Dragon Dance, he makes the right play, which is Surf, and that is the ball game. And I lose. Yeah, I don't want to harp too much on it, but like I said, I think that, I know that I screwed up pretty badly with that one sequence that I pointed out. I think had I not gone a T-Tar there, had I gone straight Aerodactyl, would it have changed the outcome? I don't know. I mean, who the fuck knows what could have happened? I don't want to go down that road, but it cost me like 30% HP on the T-Tar, and it cost me the Salamence completely, which, as it turns out, other than the Milotic, was actually a pretty big threat to his team. And who knows? I mean, at the end there, like, if I had the Salamence and the Arrow, maybe it would have been enough to push through the Milotic. I don't know what would have happened. I don't want to go too far down that road, but I think had I played that one sequence correctly, I would have had a decent shot to win this. I could have won it as it was, but it would have required quite a bit of luck. But had I played better, who knows? But shoulda, woulda, coulda. I own up to my mistakes. I fucked up. I made more mistakes than Marco did. He deserved to win, and as such, he did win, and I am going to be 0-1 in this SPL, unfortunately. Like I said, I wish I had a little more time to prepare. I got kind of thrown into this last minute. I felt like I played well overall, and I felt like early on I had a pretty good advantage, but I screwed up in the mid game and I didn't deserve to win. Marco got me. If in fact I have any more SPL games, I shall let you guys know and I'll get those up. But in the meantime, 0-1, go Bigs. I'll see you guys next time.